The origin of the feast of St. Nicholas of Myra was first documented in southern Italy even before the 9th century AD. However, its spread didn't begin until the year 1087. In fact, that's the year in which the religious and economic enterprise of Bari acknowledged the famous translation of the relics. 62 Italian sailors transported the remains of the saint from present-day Turkey to Italy. This event gave great importance to the city of Bari and allowed for the feast of St. Nicholas to spread throughout both the national and European territory, giving birth to what we today denominate as religious tourism. St. Nicholas is immediately positioned as a miracle worker, effective against plagues, diseases, and was soon considered a universal problem solver. He was the protector of the poor, the humble, peasants, women, and children. This last quality allowed him to become, over time, the very popular figure of Santa Claus. In Abruzzo, Molise, Campania, and Puglia, it is often associated with the return journey of shepherds engaged in transhumance. Over time, the popular figure of St. Nicholas went through countless reinterpretations and changes. In San Giuliano del Sannio, in Molise, St. Nicholas, the patron saint, has been celebrated every year for many years. He has been linked to ancient as well as recent history and the town's deepest identity. In 1628, a decree by Fulgencio Gallucci regulated the consumption of wheat in honor of the festival. The wheat was used for the distribution of blessed bread to the people. An autographed document dated 1724 attests to the creation and delivery of the statue of the saint by the Neapolitan sculptor Giacomo Colombo and his pupils. The festival takes place over 2 days, the 8th and 9th of May, days of the historical reenactment of the translation of the saint's relics, and retains some unique features such as the flag auction. Kept by the parish priest, 2 flags in honor of emigrants of the early 1900s are handed over to the citizens and put up for auction in the town square. The winners of the auction will then have the honor of carrying the flags in procession. There are 2 flags, one for those who immigrated to North America and one for those who immigrated to South America. They represent the separate parts waiting to be brought back together. On the feast day, the community is temporarily united. The weighing of children, a symbolic rite of blessing that takes place at the foot of the statue, aimed at evoking physical and spiritual protection. A rite which was initially designed to restore health to sick children. The Parade of Riflemen of San Nicola, this military parade that escorts the statue of the saint through the streets of the town, is the real attraction. Dressed in the party's costume and armed with rifles, under the command of the group's top experts, the riflemen shoot powerful blanks that echo in the distance. This unique show has its roots buried deep within the town's history, some documents dating back to as early as the 1800s, as evidenced by a letter from the parish priest Gian Matteo Pallotta. This is a letter that was addressed to Bishop Gennaro Pasca, in which he mentions the custom of shooting into the air on the feast days. The tradition originated from the need for order at the time. The fight against thieves and bandits also brought about the hiring of civilian militias who would serve as needed and then return to their regular work activities. Even during the reforms implemented by the French at the beginning of the 19th century, some tasks were subjected to legislation. Each commune had to provide a team of armed men destined to supervise the transport of goods, especially at the night in inaccessible areas. The presence of these soldiers during the holidays and the customs of the time gave birth to a new rite, firing shots into the air in honor of the saint. The parade, set up later, regulated these behaviors. It was only during the 1900s that the party took its final form, inevitably influenced by the world events of the century. The first picture of the feast of St. Nicholas dates back to 1911. San Giuliano del Sannio was an agro-pastoral and pre-industrial type of community from 1913 to 1940. The feast is deeply rooted in religion, but with non-canonical features. The Church has constantly exerted pressure aimed at bringing them back within the parameters of the doctrine. St. Nicholas is seen as a miracle worker. He gave answers about everything that life and work could not. After the Second World War until the end of the 1970s, in a period ranging from 1946 to 1970, San Giuliano saw a progressive detachment from the previous cultural framework. Many were forced to leave the town permanently or to leave it for long periods in search of fortune. Migration, which had already begun throughout the last quarter of the 19th century, led to departures either towards new destinations across the ocean, Northern Europe, or large industrial cities. During this phase, the peasant heritage was seen as a burden in the way of becoming more modern. Because of this, the Feast of St. Nicholas shared the declining fate of folklore, and some traditions were either lost or completely changed. In the following decade, the feast was reformed and revived. The period after the 1970s was characterized by a persistent tendency on the part of the citizens of San Giuliano to revitalize the customs of a rural past that had been underestimated until then. On the theme of rediscovery, the Feast of St. Nicholas experienced a growing celebratory revival, managing to involve and attract participation at its highest levels. Many new initiatives were taken during this period, such as the creation of the Standing Committee for the Feast of St. Nicholas, the Party Committee, the establishment of the holiday dedicated to immigrants on the 10th of August to relive the emotions of the feast, the creation of the Bulletin of San Nicola, a yearbook of news and events that takes its cue from the previous annual report of the parish priest, is distributed to all of those who make an offer to the party. The establishment of the association, the Riflemen of San Nicola, the production of the audiovisual content and comics, and the participation in television programs and lotteries on the days of the feast. The year 2013 saw the inauguration of a permanent exhibition curated by the Cultural Association Insieme. In 2018, San Giuliano joined the European Association Nicholas Route, La Via Nicolaiana, with the aim of emphasizing the story of its traditions and extending the saint's journey beyond its regional borders. With the aim of emphasizing the story of its tradition and extending the saint's journey beyond its regional borders. The Feast of St. Nicholas on the 8th and 9th of May is more than a mere party. It's a magnificent celebration of faithful belongings that go beyond symbols and become a real identity trait. Participating is a way to be a part of the celebration. Being a part of it is participating in a story that navigated the history of the world to reach us every year for hundreds of years.